Hey friends, welcome to Gardening with Creekside. Today we are going to go around the property and give you updates on, oh my gosh, the various projects that we have been working on and off for. Some of them are relatively new projects and some of them are kind of ongoing projects. So Jerry is all mic'd up, so you will hear him chiming in. We're going to start here at the chicken coop, and so he is filming me because we're going to be moving around a lot. And some of the other projects that we're going to go to, you will see him on camera because I know that y'all just adore his sweet smiling face as much as I do. But we are here at our chicken coop. This is a project that we started in early spring, late winter, early spring, as far as clearing the land. You remember back that this section of our property was covered in the vast majority of them were pine trees, and these were like what we call Virginia pines, and they were very crooked, leaning. Some of them were like almost at a 45-degree angle. So we took those out. Jerry and Jackson had a lot of fun on the equipment, took those out. The trees that were of good value and nice and strong and straight, we left. So we've got some maples, we've got some oaks, we've got some different dogwood in here. We left those and we're going to be developing gardens in here.
Yes, and your dad, he
Yes.
took most of those Virginia pines out of
Yes.
here. They're really great logs, and he has
Yeah.
that sawmill.
He does. My daddy has a sawmill.
So
Yeah.
he actually used them to build a new building.
He did. So
Yeah.
my daddy is a woodworker. Growing up, he refinished furniture professionally. That's what he did. And then he got into, later on, gosh, when I was in college maybe, started building furniture. So of course then he got a sawmill. So yes, so he took a lot of those logs, built him a new shed. You've seen it up there on production. I'm sure we'll see it again. Neat little fact, together we sawed all of the lumber that the barn is built out of, like the siding. All of that is off of our property.
Yeah, we kind of forget to talk about that.
We do.
There's the whole exterior of that barn and the interior
is from wood off of our property.
Yes.
Right. So absolutely. And I know you'll probably see like logs. There's still a lot of work to be done up here, and we have some logs that are in various places. Those are just hanging out and drying, and because of course we have the fire pit, so that's going to make great wood for the fire pit. But you can't you can't burn, we call it green wood. You can't like chop down a tree and immediately put it in firewood and start a campfire. That's not going to go very well for you. So it's got to sit, it's got to dry out. That's what this is doing. And then we can just chop it up as we need it and have a lovely campfire around the patio. Our chicken coop is from Carolina Coops. Remember, they are another company here in North Carolina, and they create these chicken coops. We got the kit and put it up ourselves. We got our girls, you can see some of them. I gave them a little snack. They've been munching on some cantaloupe and cucumber and romaine lettuce, and so they're very happy right now, but they're out hanging out. The chicks, we got them as day-old chicks. They were hatched March the 20th. They arrived to us March the 21st, and that is what pushed this project along with clearing the land and building the chicken coop. But yes, from Carolina Coops, it is a 6x24. And then if you remember, Christine was here when we put in the landscaping right here, and oh my gosh, y'all, is this just not beautiful? It has done so well. We have got, of course, the Bewitched green within the sweet potato vine. We have got skyrocket grass. We have rockin' deep purple salvia. The lemon tart, always get it mixed up. Lemon tart, lemon zest, lemon something. Lantana. We have the Senorita Rosalita Cleome. And then, of course, the Wicked Witch, Color Blaze Wicked Witch Coleus has done really, really well. This is not on irrigation. I've had to come up here and water it, especially the first couple of weeks to get it established. Then it was doing great. Then this past like 2 weeks, when we just got so hot and dry, I was having to come up here and water it. But I mean, they've done really well. We're slowly developing the landscaping in here, but everything's doing well. We've had a couple of questions about eggs, and are the girls laying? So I'll let Jerry kind of zoom in here. The great thing about, one of the things that we love about this coop is that these are the egg boxes, and there's 3 of them right here. There was a girl sitting in there, so we might disturb her, but she'll be fine. So you can come in. Oh, she is. See that little fluffy butt right there? She's right here. So we got a little Rhode Island red, but I don't know if Jerry can zoom in. So we've got 2 eggs this morning that we need to collect. But yeah, Sweet Girl is in there, 3 nesting boxes. We do have 9 chickens. And if you have any experience with raising chickens, it doesn't matter how many nesting boxes you could have. I could have 9 boxes, 1 for every girl, and they still would only use 2. It's just they all like to use the same box. So doing really well. Also an update on the aquapot lights that Proven Winner sent us 2. And we have them planted up here. So this is the first one, and it has skyrocket grass, a bubblegum petunia, and then the Mystic Illusion dahlia, which is the bright yellow one. I have not filled this up with water since we planted it, and this is staying really wet. Now, we did get rain for the first time this week. But even prior to that, so we do have some runoff right here, so it would get some rain when it comes down. But prior to that, we had not had rain for 2 to 3 weeks, and the soil is staying really, really damp. The dahlia is doing what the dahlia is doing. I do have buds. I don't have any blooms yet. That also could be possibly an issue of sun. There you go. I don't know really what else to say about that. We're still figuring that out.
I think one thing to do is let's just go ahead and move the pot.
Just move it up.
Move it out, and so that way we can eliminate water or any kind of residual water coming off the roof and into the pot.
Because we could even just move it just straight.
Yeah.
We can move it straight right here, and it'll get a little bit more sun.
Yeah.
And it still is full sun, like it still gets the 6 hours of sun. But that way, yeah, it'll eliminate that issue. So let's come over here. Temple of Bloom, doing really well. Very happy, as are the vanilla spices. These things have grown since I put them in. So vanilla spice, lots of new growth. I mean, this one especially because it's in the wettest area. Really, I mean, beautiful foliage. I mean, they are doing really well. But this is the other. This is the traditional pot, just a regular old good old pot, and then the insert is in it. The aqua pot, like where you can make the pot, the insert put in there. But Jerry, I'll let you get in. Can you show that? So see right here, see how dark it is? So that means it's damp. It is nice and moist, which these plants seem to be fine with that, but I have not filled it up with water since I planted it 3 weeks, a month ago?
Yeah.
A month ago, yeah. So that is kind of the idea. That's a little bit of an update here. This fall, winter, the goal is to get the underbrush here cleaned out. Any little scraggly trees we're going to take out because this is going to be turned into a garden. What, honey?
What's in the woods right there?
What's in the woods? Let me show you what's in the woods. So I took, have you not seen them?
No.
Oh, he doesn't. Oh, they've been here for a couple of weeks. They're fine. Yes. Yes. Okay, so these are 3 of the Florida Sunshines because I want to plant Florida Sunshines because this is a shade bed, right? This is the most sun that it gets. I'm having to explain it to you and my husband at the same time. This is the most sun that this space will get. So I took a little tip from my friend Tina. Remember we did Tina and Archie's house, did a tour. And so what Tina does is when she's not sure if a plant will respond to where she wants to put it, she puts it there and lets it sit to see how it does. Is it getting enough sun? Is it thriving? Is it getting burned? Is it not getting enough sun? So that's what I did with these 3 Florida Sunshines right here because I wanted to make sure that they weren't going to burn and they were going to be happy. And they are. They've been here for about 2 weeks. Now, that one got knocked over in the wind the other day, so it needs a little bit of water. But yeah, so this is,
I think it'll be pretty.
it will.
Yep.
So I took a little trick from Tina, and we're going to plant these. But we have grapevine. This is just natural, native grapevine in here. Obviously, I want to get this out before I plant in here, because it'll be a nightmare as far as like twining in the shrubs and the perennials. So we just got to get this cleaned up a little bit, and that will be fun to plant this fall, even into winter, because of the plants I'm going to put in here are very cold hardy, and wintertime would be a great time to plant them. All right, I think that's a good update here.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good.
All right, so now we got signature garden to go. We've got production to go. We've got some flower beds we're going to do.
Yep.
So we're going to move on to the next spot. Here we are in front of the berm, at the top portion of the berm in the shade. And we started this project. This is one of those kind of those long-term projects, in the fact of we're approaching the 1-year anniversary of when we started this project.
Correct.
So we started it in October. Some of y'all who have been with us for a while followed along this whole journey with us as far as creating this berm. And one of the main goals in creating the berm was to kind of create a distinction between the public property of the nursery and our home. And then, of course, any reason you give me to create a garden and plant plants, I am more than happy to do it.
Yeah.
And
it's been a good spot to show off plants. Good spot this side, especially with the perennials that we've done.
yeah, so everything on the nursery side are trees, shrubs, perennials. There are no annuals in this front spot. On the house side of the berm, we had done Jerry's kind of creation idea of the tons of the petunias that you just saw us rip out. But this whole project, as far as like, just kind of go back as far as bringing in the soil and the compost, because we have seen what a massive difference having great soil is making for these plants.
Yeah, so I was very particular about the soil. So I wanted the guys to bring me a soil that was screened really well, and then, but I didn't want them to add any kind of composting material or any kind of organics. I just wanted a nice screened
Topsoil, would you
dirt.
consider
It
it?
was not, I don't,
No, not even topsoil.
you know, so it was just like a nice screened dirt, you know, that way you didn't have really big clumps, you didn't have tree roots in it, you know, rocks, all that. So that was really, so then we had our bulk compost mix and took that and spread it out, tilled that in with a tiller for the tractor.
Right.
And then,
because we did all of that. Then we put the fence in. Then we put the
irrigation
bones for the irrigation in.
Yeah.
And then we started planting the trees and shrubs. Basically, all the trees and the shrubs were planted in the month of November and through like the first week of December, because we just talked about how fall is a great time to plant. And we did that, and these plants have just done so well. And we didn't fully install the irrigation and turn it on until what, like the beginning of July? Sometime in July?
Yeah, it was sometime in July. And then one thing to think about with your drip irrigation, even if you install a drip irrigation like that, is, you know, you don't have to run it every day.
No.
And actually that would be the worst thing to do. So you need to set it to where it runs for a really long period of time, one time a week.
Right.
We weren't even doing that.
No,
Yeah.
up until July, we were not watering these trees and shrubs. Now the annuals, the petunias on the other side, when we, the first 2 weeks when we got them
We
in,
did with it,
we
the
had to,
tank.
with the tank and the
Yeah.
water on the tractor. But the trees and the shrubs, the perennials were not being watered, but that's just timing, and then that great soil. And then, of course, we knew in July and August with the heat, when that was going to hit, that we needed to be able to supplement with the water with that. And so I run this, when I run it, it is once a week for about 45 minutes. So that's that nice deep watering. I haven't run it, well, almost going on 2 weeks now, maybe, because of, we got the rain from leftover the hurricane. But it is doing really well. We have been in this spot many times to show you various plants and different shrubs and different examples. But yeah, I mean, the before pictures versus The current pictures are just
Yeah,
phenomenal.
we're really happy with it.
And this is we're just going to year 1.
Year 1
So when
coming
you
up.
go to, yeah, because we always say, right, sleep, creep, leap. So by year 3, the end of year 3, in 2 years from now, what this space is going to look like is going to be a lot of fun to see.
Yep.
Yep. All right. Now, we've got another flower bed down here that I want to give you an update on because it is in full bloom, doing really well. We're going to hit the signature garden and production.
Yeah, there's some more stories on that Jenny will talk about with the entrance beds.
Yes. Lessons
relating back
learned.
to soil.
Yes.
So we'll talk to you.
All right, my friends, so here we are at one of our entrance beds. Coming into the nursery, we have one on the left, we have one on the right, and they have the same plants in them. Different design, but the same plants. So we're gonna show you the star of the show is definitely this bed here on the left. And dear heavens, I could not be a happier person with how this space has performed. We've been here a couple of times before. So what we have in here is the Mojave Yellow Portulaca, doing really well. Of course, your portulaca is going to open and close with the sun, nice and open, and we've got pollinators galore in here. Then plum dandy. So if you come to the nursery or your local garden center and you see this plant and you're like, but it doesn't flower, I want something with flower power. My gosh, y'all, look, we've got flowers all in here, but then you've got this ribbon of the plum dandy, and look how it just accents both the begonias and the portulaca. If we had had the portulaca straight up against the begonias, yes, it would look pretty, but it wouldn't look this pretty because you have that great color contrast. Don't ever, ever, ever underestimate the power of a foliage plant. So, plum dandy, love it. The Suncredible sunflowers, they are doing well. We have not deadheaded these at all, so you don't have to. They are reblooming sunflowers. They are doing great. And then, yes, the brand new Surefire white begonias. Y'all, these things are probably every bit of like 2.5, close to 3 feet tall. This
yeah,
bed,
you remember that those were grandes.
They were, yeah.
Yeah, all this was grande.
Grandes. I think the grasses may have been gallons.
Yeah.
The grasses were gallons, but yeah, we planted these as grandes. Jerry we did a fun little video on that. And then behind it is the skyrocket grass. So the skyrocket is nice and big, but the way that these Surefires are so big is just, I mean, it's glorious. And you can see it from this angle too. So when you're driving in, you see it from that double row of the skyrocket grass. And then in this bed, you're gonna notice right away that the coffee cups are laying down. So while we did not get any damage from the Hurricane Idalia, it was a tropical storm when it kind of came through this way, we did get some winds and it knocked them over. So that is why they're laying down. They just did this the other day. Lemon Blush Caladium, yes, it is a shade Caladium, but this is Morning Sun, and then Diamond Snow Euphorbia in front. And then yet once again, the power of foliage, we've got the Coleus, the Color Blaze Coleus, both the Wicked Witch and the Lime Thyme, doing really well in here. Don't ask me why I have 2 little sprigs of Newly Noir, other than last year we had Newly Noir
that's what it is.
in here, and
yeah.
So technically that would be like a weed because it doesn't it doesn't belong there. And then coming down we have Quickfire Fabs. So these Quickfire Fabs have been in here for, this is their 2nd season being in here and doing well also. Now I want you to see, right, you see all of this and you see how nice and big this is. Also, as an update, Andrew installed, when we redesigned these beds in the spring, early summer, he installed the flagstone. This is kind of like a dry riverbed because creek bed. Water flows through here, and y'all, it works. Like, it has worked beautifully. Come in here, Jer, so we can, so we don't, because this is naturally where the water would come through. So when we had the flower bed, it did encompass this whole area, and then we get a lot of rain in the wintertime, and so we had rivers and ruts through here. So we just went exactly where the ruts were, where the water wanted to go, and Andrew installed this. So coming down, and it's in a little bit of a loose Y shape from here, and then just kind of goes on out, and then of course the creek is down there. And you can see right here, this is just some stuff that has washed down here, but it's all like mulch that was maybe in the ditch, but no rock. None of the decorative gravel has washed, and doing really, really well. So this is a great, wonderful success. Obviously this will stay here like this, and then we'll plant the beds. Now, back to my point before I got distracted. All right, you see how beautiful and lush this is? All right, we're gonna come over here, and I want to show you this bed, and I want you to see the difference in this bed. So the same plants that were planted over there are in here, different design, different shapes, and you can see how they're not doing well. This is definitely not a showpiece of a flower bed. So what is the difference between this flower bed and the other flower bed? They do both get the same amount of sunlight. It is kind of hard to, you may not believe that right now, but just trust me, gets the same amount of sunlight. They're both on irrigation, and they run at the exact same time with the exact same amount because they're on the same zone. But the main difference is the soil and the soil amendments that we used in here. On the one that is thriving, we used a really high quality compost, and we like compost soil mixture, and we just laid it thick, right, Jerry? I mean, it was really, really thick. And then over here, we did not use that same amendment over here. Biotone was involved on the one side, and I don't think we put biotone on this side.
No.
Words?
No.
Jerry's shaking his head.
No, we didn't. We remember we just gotten, I guess, in a hurry that day, and we didn't do it. I don't know. It was really, we didn't really like do it as a test or anything. I don't want people to think we did it as a test.
No.
It's turned out to be a test.
It has been turned out to be a test, because we sit here and we're like, for the longest time, we were like, is the irrigation working on this side? Is it broken? Is there a problem with the pipe? It's not, but the clear difference is the soil and the soil amendments that we used in this bed versus the other bed. So our plan is we're going to let these beds go, right, until the fall. And then when the appropriate time is in the fall, probably after, because that one is just glorious. So we're just going to let her go as long as she wants to with the weather. And then we're going to, of course, once the freeze, frost, whatever, and they're damaged and they're done for the season, then we'll pull them out. We're going to pull out, lift up the irrigation, because it's just the brown tubing, so we can easily just lift it up. And then come in here and really come back and heavily amend this, especially this flower bed, with that same bulk compost blend that we used over there. Put the irrigation back, do a little final dress up on it, and then we're going to let it sit over the winter. So we're not going to have plants in these flower beds over the winter. Two reasons. One, let it sit and let the soil just kind of rest, right? Let the flower bed rest over the winter. Two, I have tried to put pansies, violas in here in winters past, and they just don't get enough sun, because the winter sun is different. It shines differently and lands on this spot differently than in the summertime. They don't get enough sun, and they just look pitiful and pathetic, and just, they don't look good. They're not getting enough sun. So we're just going to let the beds rest over the winter, and then in the springtime we can come back and plant them, right?
Right. Yeah, and I mean, this is just a testimony to, you know, when we talk about biotone and using biotone, I've seen, this year I think was the first year that I said, well, you know what, let's use biotone
on the
annuals.
Right.
See what happens. So
because before we really didn't do it.
We really didn't do it. And so I know for a fact the bed that you just showed over there was the chicken coop that we were just at. That was done with biotone. You can see that in the video.
And the deck boxes.
And the deck boxes.
Which are phenomenal.
And the planter, the raised beds, and the patio.
Yes. Right there, that same spot where the box was, right on the patio.
Where the Mini Vista white is and all that jazz.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we just did.
Yeah.
We did like a video on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is an update on these flower beds. And yeah, live and learn, y'all. And if you think, I always tell people, if you're on this earth, if the Lord has not taken you home yet, then you have something to learn. And we're always growing and learning as gardeners. And yes, we do this professional for other people. We do it for ourselves. This is our job. But that does not mean we know everything, right? And you're always learning and adapting, and you're finding the best practices. And for this year, this has been one of the big eye openers, is like the quality and the health of your soil is huge. It is really, really important, as far as, especially with your annuals, your perennials. Well, I mean, all the plants, right? And so we do have red clay soil here. And so if you're a homeowner, just every year, once a year, apply that compost in your flower beds, right? Before you put down your mulch, or before you put down your pine needles, whenever that is. There's not really a best time or a wrong time or a right time. It's compost. You can really do it any time of the year. Lay that down a nice, if you can do 2 inches, that would be amazing. And just lay it in there, because that feeds your soil. It brings in the good microbes, the good bacteria, the good fungi, earthworms, all those things. Huge. All right, now we're going to head over to the nursery and look at the signature garden. Here we are standing with the signature garden behind us. The future home of the signature garden is still raw soil right now.
It is. We did bring this topsoil down from the project that we're on the greenhouse up there. It's a topsoil that could not be used.
Right.
So we brought it down here, got it spread out. The tip for you. So if you got goopy soil or topsoil clumpy, I took the Bobcat, I spread it all out, kind of just left it clumpy, and then just let it sit in the sun. And then once it sat in the sun for a little bit, I came back with the Bobcat with the teeth, and then just kind of busted up all the clumps and started to lay it out. So you can probably see just behind it, it looks pretty flat. And it's been smoothed out pretty good. We ran the land plane over it. We've been in there trenching. We've put electrical line in for the fountain. We've come across where we're standing right here. We've come across, you saw in the video, where we put in the fiber line all the way to the barn, which we have internet there now.
That was what, 1,200 feet?
1,200 feet.
1,200 feet.
1,200 feet, yes. So yeah, so that's there. We're still going to add a good bit of more soil, the same kind of stuff that we used in the berm. And then we're going to come in with a compost mixture there with that, and amend that, and then
from that point,
line it up, plant it.
Right. So we're going to amend the soil, like the entire signature garden space.
The whole
square.
Rectangle,
yes, right. Rectangle. The whole rectangle. We're going to lay it down, that same amount of soil and compost and all of that, and within that whole area, the block. And then once that's in, then we'll create the beds, the edges of the beds, and the walkways, and we're going to have grass walkways. We're talking about putting down sod.
I think we're just going to roll with the sod. That way, maybe it will already be ready. You can walk on it this fall, late winter. Whereas if we seeded,
nobody could walk on it.
You probably wouldn't be able to walk on it.
No, yeah. So that is kind of the update on the signature garden. So it's a proven winner signature garden. These are kind of across the country in different locations. And really it is a garden that highlights proven winter plants. So we will have proven winter trees, shrubs, perennials, and annuals in there. If you remember the video that we just did about the unboxing, all those shrubs that our friends at Spring Meadow sent us, those shrubs are going to go in here. And then next week, Walter's Gardens is going to send us a slew of perennials that will also go in this space.
Okay, so very good.
So of course we'll keep you updated on that, and show you those beautiful perennials that are coming from our friends at Walter's Gardens that will go into the signature garden as well.
Right. Yeah, so with this, just yesterday, everyone started on reorganizing the shrub area, the retail area that sits in front of the garden. We're really trying to make it nice and square, and the plants are laid out in little blocks. We've got some string lines down, because in that space, eventually, it may not right when we open the garden, but we're going to have a paver walkway through the shrub lot into the garden space behind us that leads you into, the garden.
Right.
I think it'll be really nice.
Yep. Yeah. So you might see Cece and Jackson working behind us. That's what they're doing, is getting everything nice and squared up and getting the plants in their correct little blocks and all of that. So yeah, we're just continuing moving on. It's still, we're moving with purpose on the signature garden, but we don't feel rushed as far as like we have to plant, because the berm is the perfect example of we've got plenty of time to plant. And as far as like adding the soil and the amendment, that'll go super fast.
I really think that's next, is to get that all in, and then maybe even lay out some stuff, where we know the walkways are going to be and all that.
Because we have irrigation.
And so then that way I know we can just run that irrigation in, trench it in. The water's just right here in multiple places. And then we're going to use our drip tubing, of course, in the beds. There will be no overhead as of right now. That the plan is to try to not use any kind of overhead, even in the turf. So we're going to use sub-irrigation. The drip tube is spaced about 12 inches, the rows,
under the grass,
well under, to avoid any type of puncture from when we have to aerate or anything like that. So that's the plan.
And you've been wanting to try this for a while.
I've been wanting to do it for a long time. This is a great opportunity to do it, and I think that will be nice.
Yeah. So that is the update on the signature garden. And now we're going to head up to production, where we have lots of beautiful red clay to show everybody. Yes. For the new production greenhouses. So we'll head up there.
Yep.
All right.
Sounds good.
Here we are up at the future home of the new production greenhouse.
Yep.
I was joking that my sweater and Jerry's hat match our soil.
Yes. A little orangey ready.
The Lord was like, yes, you're going to be Clemson Tiger fans, and we're going to give you orange soil.
Yes.
Here in the Piedmont of North Carolina.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's done well. The pipe, we got a little bit of rain. We didn't get a gully washer, which you might say, up here in the south,
It's a gully washer.
The other day, so when there was no water sitting on this area after the rain. So
that's a good thing.
It's a good thing. I would like this. It'd be interesting to see. I don't want it to pour now, but
we kind of want a gully washer, and we kind of don't, because we want to see what the water's going to do. But then again, we don't. It doesn't
really matter, I guess, per se, because the house is going on top of it, and
I know, but still, we just would kind of like to know.
But anyway, it's just curious. Yeah.
So what we're going to do is we're going to be building. We're getting another greenhouse from our friends at Atlas Greenhouses down in Georgia. We have gotten, I think, all of our existing greenhouses have come from them.
They are all the new ones.
All the new ones. So the one at the retail is from them. The two production houses up here are from Atlas, and then this one too will be from Atlas. We really enjoy working with them because Jerry can call them and talk to Heath and be like, this is what we're going to do. This is what the house is going to be for. This is how we're going to use it. And then Heath will make recommendations and say, well, I think this would be good for this, and so forth and so on. So he and Jerry just go back and forth.
Yeah, we did that last time. Last time when we did the retail, and that's what really got us in the Grand Peak. Snow Arch was the same way, because we talked about doing hanging baskets. We were going to do something that didn't have as much support because we just didn't need it, but then we didn't think we did. Same thing here.
Right.
Is that after we really got to talking about it, I was like, well, maybe we should just go. I mean, stronger is always better.
Stronger is always better.
It's like cheap insurance. As I was talking with another friend in this industry, it's cheap insurance.
Meaning that it's less expensive in the long run to bump up and go to the stronger structure than as opposed to buying, and it's not like you don't say cheaper, but it's not as strong. It's not as much infrastructure. It's not as strong greenhouse. Atlas has never had an issue with that greenhouse.
No, they sell a lot of them.
They sell a ton of them, but there's always that freak thing that can happen, and a storm, we could get snowmageddon that we haven't gotten in years, and it could potentially those greenhouses could collapse, and then you have to create a whole new one, and then why not
But
just
yeah,
spend the extra
our
money?
weather, because we're in the transition zone area, like people like to call it,
Yeah.
is that you can have a winter that is real snowy, which we haven't really had that much of. We've had one in the last little bit, or you have a winter where it's just mild all the time.
Right.
Or in this particular spot, which made me think about it, is that the arches are all going to be turned this way, and we do get a lot of wind. That's almost pretty much guaranteed.
Yes.
In the spring, we get a lot of wind that comes
Strong wind.
strong wind. So I said, we just need to go ahead and do that.
Right. So it's 3 gutter connected greenhouses. They
Yep.
will be, the total footprint will be a 90 by 96. And so immediately 2 of the greenhouses, the bays, however you want to call it, will be used for primarily our online sales. So we will have the shrubs, the perennials, the annuals in here for our e-commerce side, the annuals that
Yep.
all of you people love and adore. And then the 3rd bay for now will be predominantly for production. We'll move the potting machine over here.
Yeah, that's what I really like about that machine is that machine has those 2 wheels on it. You can then hitch it onto the tractor which lifts it up, and you can just wheel it out. It's in annex right now, and they actually are potting up shrubs.
Right.
So we'll wheel it out of there into here, fill this thing up, and then after it's done here, if we need to fill this bay, we'll fill it and then move the machine out and put it in another location.
Right.
Until we need it again.
Right. So then now what is the timeline on the next step for this area?
So the next step really for us is right in front of us is the retaining wall to hold back where we had it cut out to lower the space. So really happy with the pad. We've like we said, we had rain. We have a nice slope over here. We've already filled that with the gravel. This side down over here going towards our mums and the production pad over there for outdoor production. And I'm just gonna wait. I was gonna throw out some grass seed when the hurricane remnants were coming through. I'm kind of glad I didn't, because it's been nice and it's cool this next couple of days, but next week it's gonna get warm again, so no rain, so we'll just wait. And then so those 2 things need to happen, but the big thing, even before we get to building the greenhouse, we need to try to get the wall built.
Wall built, and then there will be French drains both down on the lower part of the pad and then up top as well?
Yeah, the wall itself, and behind the wall there will be a drain.
Okay.
That French pipe, that's just how you build a retaining wall.
Gotcha.
So we're not really thinking it's going to be, I think a 10-foot length section of that is going to be about 4 feet, and then it really starts to come way down. So
Slopes
it's a
down.
simple retaining wall. It's just long.
Right.
But once you have the first layer done,
The rest flies.
it just flies. First layer is the most critical, of course, with your base, and get it dug in, and then we're good to go.
Yep.
So, I feel pretty good about it. So, we're just in a waiting game right now with the installers.
Yes. But we've got to get this done before they can come.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
So that's
where we are.
That's next on the list.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and probably not. I think we're going to be able to get away. We're only paying about 318. We cut back a little bit because we've taken up so much
On the shrubs.
on the shrub lot, but we're going to have to probably do another shrub lot out here. That would be the next thing that needs to get done for the nursery, per se, here pretty soon.
Yep. All right. So I think this was the last project update, right?
Last project update. Think so.
Yes. All right, my friends. So thank you so much for coming along these projects with us. Y'all have been with us every step of the way, I think, on every single project that we have done. So we just appreciate your support, your encouragement, your business, everything. And as always, thanks for going with Creekside. We'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.